we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 149 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. I am reporting today from my secret underground lair where I have been spending a good part of today and like a few days this week actually working on some kind of what if things go completely off the rails, because I don't know if you've seen some of the talk going on, man. You say what you want either way about brain-dead, blue-haired lesbians running over cops or trying to run over cops and whether or not they ought to get their hair parted. But a lot of this talk and a lot of these decisions are kind of paving the way, I think, for bad things to happen. So today, man, I wanted to hit on some of the stuff I'm hearing lately, man. And I'm gonna tell you what, dude. I'm gonna tell you what. I try not to flex too hard when things go my way like this, but I am going to cash in at the Clout Casino. This Fuentes situation, like I kind of, I realize that he's a young dude and I'm a dude in an iron lung and, at death's door and old and this. But, I had my suspicions and my uncertainties about the dude. But, and I know some cats like him and I don't want to, thumb you too hard in the eye or nothing. But this business about the kind of walking back or the hair splitting where kitty fiddling is concerned, it's not cricket. It won't do. And dude, I was listening to I saw a couple of the memes in this, and I mean I don't know what it is with that guy. Like, I kind of have my suspicions anyways, and I know that, like, there was some suspicion for a while with that cat boy dude, and that's I don't have super good visibility on that, but just the way the dude comes off, if I was unaware of any of that other stuff, the way the dude comes off and the way I saw him interacting with, like, your Tucker Carlson, where out there, otherwise intelligent dude, otherwise well-spoken, but when it comes to this question, man, about why do you not have a woman? Why are you not talking about, I'm going to have some kids, this, that, and like your Tucker Carlson says, I thought you were gay. I do kind of live with my folks still once in a while. Like, what is this, dude? What's going on? And I kind of have my suspicions. This guy's not quite right. And then when the dude kind of blew up and continues to blow up, my suspicion was not that this guy got the call, but that this guy got the offer of, like, look, we're going to ask you to take some kind of positions here. It'll be nuanced. It'll be a little bit of a hair split. Some people might call you on it, but we think that this is something we'd like to see. And if you're good with it, your name is going to be up there. You are going to be somebody. And by all accounts, it appears that this guy took the deal, because he has gotten right out there, and I see some walking back on, it's the Zionists. It's not, you guys are stupid. You guys are dumb. And why would Israel ever kill a guy like Charlie Kirk? That's just retarded. And now this thing with this, it's not really pedophilia. It's more like whatever this is. I can't remember what the word is. Something starts with an E. Ephebophilia, where, you're attracted to younger looking persons that are still, like, how could you say, like, post-pubescent. Yeah, because, like, to be properly, I guess you would say, sexually attracted to, like, children, this is not a sexual being. It's a child. What is this? But now what this guy is trying to hand you is it like, oh, well, you see, they've started to develop sexually, so, that makes it okay. They're like, no, dude, it don't make it okay. I'm not seeing this, my friend. And I guess the immediate way that it made me think of it was the idea that, like, I know a lot of older dudes like me, we grew up, some of us, where you would get drug out to work. when you were like young, like, 10, 11, 12, and like, come on, we're going to work today. And you're like, what am I doing? You're doing what I tell you to do is what you're doing. And then at the end of the day, you're going to get like $5 or some kind of broke shit. Like, I don't want to get started on that because it really pisses me off. But what I'm getting at here is like, you're a young man. Okay, you're starting to get a little bit of muscularity. That don't mean you're fit for an 8-hour fucking day. Like, dude, I was working concrete, like, not daily, like I'm some kind of Mexican or something, but I'm out here helping out, like pouring fucking concrete when I'm like 12. I'm out here doing these construction jobs because, where I grew up, it was like everybody knows somebody that's, in some kind of construction or something. And like, yeah, you're going to go out with your grandfather today. You're going to do this shit. Hey, you're going to come out with me today. You're going to help do this shit. And you're like, this sucks, dude. Yeah, it sucks. And work is supposed to suck. That's why they pay you to do it. But what I'm getting at here is that, these boomers, like, yeah, I realize you want to do your little, life is hard kind of a thing because of, whatever your cartoonish fucking perception of what growing up ought to be. But in reality, like, you got to ask yourself, it's a young man. He's not all the way grown yet. You can't have him out here 8 hours a fucking day fucking laboring. It's not good for a person. It ain't, he's not fucking developed yet. He's not fucking grown. And you see this, if you look back, if you have interest in this kind of thing, when you look back at like Great Depression era type shit, it was a combination of kids working and absolutely shit nutrition. This is why people only grew to like, 5 foot fucking nothing. Not because they're genetically shorter, because they're all related to leprechauns or some shit, but because they're getting worked. They're not growing properly. And this is part of why. So circling back to this business with this kind of walking back of the pedo question, man, is that like, dude, don't try to fucking make this shit into something that it's not. Just because she's got to wear a training bra and she's starting down the road towards becoming a woman, even if a young girl's already got her period, in my mind, the idea is that like, yeah, but she's not mentally able to care for a kid or to act as a wife. And two, the idea of physically kind of short-circuiting that whole development process, because so that what? So that you could get your kicks? It's fucked up. But I was listening to Devin Stack this morning, man, and that dude, I mean, I get spun up, man. But just listening to the dude, man, I mean, I get spun up, but this dude was heated. Like this shit really hit him the wrong way, man. And he's talking about, I will kill you. If you think this is okay and you listen to this show, stop, get out, fuck off. I will find you and kill you. I'm like, all right, man, you can get tuned up, man, but you don't have to tell people you're going to kill them. And in fairness, as pedos are concerned, dude, I am 1,000% green light. I think that's somewhere where, you have to respect among a lot of criminals, the idea that, there is, they don't live by your code, or maybe they don't live by your society's code, but there is a code. And some shit is not okay, even among, people that you would say like, oh, they don't follow the law. They do follow a kind of law. And this is the kind of shit that's not okay. So, in my mind, the idea, not even in just my mind, I think obviously most people around the world think that this is the one thing that you cannot do. You can do, you could talk yourself out of a whole lot of shit, like whether it's stealing shit or drugs or con games, or like I'm going to swindle this guy to pay that guy, but then rip him off to do this over here. Any number of things you can talk yourself into, like, somebody's going to be like, oh, look, man, from a kind of a perspective, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Kitty fiddling, though, is the one thing I think that around the world, like literally every culture, this is like the worst thing you can do to a person. This idea of like, oh, we're going to kind of walk this back, like this, it's a no-go, dude. And I did hear, Devin Stack had a really good take here that, and it's easy to forget too. It's really easy to forget when you're hearing it day in and day out that this business with Trump, like, it's not a question of like, oh, is he in these files? Is he named? Is he involved? Is he, could it be suggested that he's being blackmailed some kind of a way? dude, think with your head. And he makes this point really well. He's not a victim of this mechanism. He's a functional part of this mechanism. This dude was supplying these girls to these people. He's buddy, neck and neck. His own daughter married into this circle. This guy is part of the fucking problem. And I think, when we get tricked like this, the way that we did, with 2016, and then a lot of people still did with, 2020, 2024, that you want to look at it and you go, yeah, maybe I got conned, but maybe, it wasn't as bad as, as it could have been. Like maybe I got tricked, but I didn't get tricked that hard. No, man, you got fucking ramrodded, dude. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. There's nothing wrong with admitting it. You thought you were getting one thing. A guy was advertising to you one thing, and then you get handed this total other thing. But now I think the thing is we forget to stop and ask ourselves, okay, if what you were handing me is not the actual case, what's the truth? The truth is not like the little watered down version that you're handing me. No, man, we got to start completely over. Let's start completely over and look at this fucking guy. Who exactly is this guy and what is he about? And if you look at it, I think with fresh eyes, like if you'd never heard of Donald Trump, like you'd never heard of him in the 80s with the big brick cell phone, or him, doing whatever the weird shit is that he does, or being on The Simpsons or any of this shit. If you'd never heard of any of this, and now you just heard of this guy today and you're like, what's this guy's story? And you look and you're like, so where is he from? Like, who is his dad? Like, what was his dad about? Who's his daughter married to? What's his story? Where's he been? Who did he hang out with? What would you think? Like, his dad was ultra-Zionist guy. His daughter married into that kind of shit. He spent his entire life around it. He kicked down his own money to buy the Plaza Hotel, where a lot of this surveillance shit went down. I mean, going all the way back to J. Edgar Hoover's time. So what would you conclude? Do you think I was just an unwitting victim? I had no idea. I'd say maybe I would have said, I guess, for a long time, I think I would have said. Just the impression I got was that maybe this guy didn't know completely how deep the rabbit hole went. But at this point, the way this guy has acted, Epstein, who? Oh, yeah, I haven't heard that name in a long time. I can't believe people are still talking about it. It's really something. Don't you have anything else to talk about? You reporters are terrible. It's at this point, like, the joke is over, guy. Like, everybody kind of sees what your fucking deal is. And I mean, this is what you get, dude. But I think just this, I do think it's interesting that the way this is panned out, that like there's a lot of people that they outrightly hate the guy. And it's very weird. I don't know. It's a lot to sort through, I guess, because like your leftist, they'll tell you they hate him, but they can't really tell you why. And I feel like these are actually the people that, like, if they hung out with the guy for an afternoon, they'd probably be like, well, he's not really as bad as I thought he was. But it's people like us that would be like, put me in a room, dude. Put me in a room. With some of the things I heard, you're not walking out of there. All right? Because that's how I feel. That's my feeling towards how if somebody's involved in that kind of kitty fiddling thing, no questions, no degrees, no scale, no spectrum, no nothing. Just a rope and a little gravity. We're going to solve this. I'm going to fix this. Going to have it right by morning. Anyway, so before we move on, man, I want to hit on some of the admin stuff so we can get on through it, because I'll forget, dude. I always forget. But if you're listening to like some kind of bootleg copy of this or some kind of thing, the out of nowhere version, you can actually find the Abuse Hour on all your major outlets, your iTunes, your Spotify, still available on YouTube and YouTube podcasts. I don't know how. I think it's like thoroughly blocked. I'm pretty sure it is. But yeah, you can find it there, dude. Probably the best place, though, is on the Telegram, t.me/The Abuse Hour, and associated chat where the action is. If you want to kick down and throw a guy a couple of shekels, if you're into that kind of thing, the buy a coffee link is right there in the description someplace. And also, too, last thing I want to shill for is Above Time Coffee. They don't give me anything. I just shill for them. Good stuff. A product by white people for white people. Put it in a cup, put it in your mouth. It's for you. So now, Let's get back at it. All right. So, oh, yeah, that was one thing I wanted to mention, dude. Somebody in the chat had put up that there's like a little script that you can go on to Twitter. And if you got a Twitter account, that you can go on to Twitter and you can put it in there and it'll give you like a harmful index rating, man. And I was like, oh, I got to do this because I have Twitter. I don't really use it, though. I don't really get a lot out of it. And I don't know, it's got to be by design the way they do it. Or, maybe it's like a result of the people that I hassle when I'm on there, because like my entire feed is all pro-Israel stuff. And I'll just I can't leave it alone. If I get on there, I'll be like, whoa, I'll tell you. And I'll get on there and I'll just start beating on these people. But, it's terrible with that, dude. So, and I guess there is a way that you can shift towards just show me things from people that I follow, actually. And then I'll look at that. But otherwise, I'm, as you can see, not too technically savvy. Coffee, a little slow on the draw. I need the horse-drawn version of your Twitter. But anyway, you go to the Grok and you put this script in there, and then you give it your little @ or whatever, and it'll spit out like your harmfulness index. And dude, I scored. I'm like. Brushes off shoulders, is very impressed with himself. 9.8 out of 10 on the anti-Semitism scale. I'd like to thank all the little people who made this possible. I'd like to thank all the tiny-headed Hebrews who baited me so effectively. 9.8. Beat it. I dare you. Other than that, I got like a lot of... I don't know, it was like an 8-point something of like pro-white, pro-nationalist, white nationalist type rating, which again, very impressed with myself. And I don't know how exactly they rate this, or, I'd like to see the score, because I got a feeling maybe a Romanian judge gave me a shit mark, and I'm better than that, I'll have you know. But then the other cool part, the funny part about this, I thought, was as you scroll down, it says abuse hour, and it's got a picture of martini glass, but there's no real talking here about substance abuse recovery or trauma recovery or any of this. So I don't know. That may be deceptive. I'm like, yeah, I guess you could call it that. It's a little bit on the deceptive side. I'm not here talking about that. No, this is like where I abuse you, not where you like get over like, oh, I used to drink too much. Okay, well, whatever. I mean, you might want to start again. Some people will call it a good time to stop. I'd say it's a good time to continue. Anyway, moving on here, I think one of the things that caught my eye this last week was, what was this guy's name? I think it was like Shabbos Kestenbaum or something like this. And it's some, I guess, if I understand correctly, some Israeli dude connected to Palantir, talking about, well, how should we deal with anti-Semites, and how should we deal with people who talk bad about Israel and post this kind of way, and they spread this kind of hate. What should we do? Well, we shouldn't give them trips to Israel and give them vacations. You throw them in jail. And we make it so people can't just talk like that. We got to start passing laws so people can't just say these things. Dude, again, with the deep-seated Americanism, like I felt my tricorn hat start to get fired up and like, the hell you will, and like, let's get it on, dude. But this was right on par with some broad from Meta and then your Jonathan Greenblatt. Both of them coming out and talking about this woman from Meta coming out talking about, yeah, we, people say that we control things, we censor things. That's not the kind of anti-Semitism that we allow on this platform. So we go in and we censor it and we remove comments and then we ban people and this kind of, so, just so you know, you can't say that I control things. Otherwise, I'll have you removed. I'll have you unpersoned. And then your Jonathan Greenblatt up there talking about, yeah, we need to start locking people up and we need to start passing laws and we need to start curtailing this First Amendment type thing. I'll tell you, dude, I honestly think, for as much reach as they have, because I was talking to somebody about this the other day, that, you look at something like the reach that they have through media, or you look at something like the exploding pager thing. And to like your regular person, like me and you with, very limited resources, and a very stifled voice, when we look at something like this, you got to say, wow, it is impressive. Wow, that you can do that you can have this stuff dispersed all over the world, that you could see something going on, something like Iran. And that was what? It was a handful of weeks. And then somehow the news comes out that like, whoa, you wouldn't believe, oh, they killed way more people than got killed in Gaza. That got killed in Gaza. Not that we murdered in Gaza, but that just, happened to magically be unalive. So they tell you this stuff, and they'll put it out on all their outlets, and they'll say it with a straight face, like, no, it's crazy over there. It's insane what they're doing to these innocent people. Oh, man. How the fuck is that different than what you guys were doing? Oh, well, it's different because it's our media outlet, and we say it's different. And these people all around the world, they got a pager, and the thing goes off. Maybe they pick it up. Maybe it's in their pocket. Maybe their kid comes bringing it to them, but it blows up, and they learn a fucking lesson that we can reach out and touch you. And on one hand, you want to look at that, and you want to say, wow, that's power. You're really reaching out there. But I had been thinking about it, and what I kind of arrived at was the idea that you want to say, yeah, that's powerful, yeah, that's impressive, but you have unlimited resources and absolute carte blanche to do whatever you want anywhere in the world, and the best you can fucking do is a pager that blows up somebody's kid? Is that really fucking it? Because I'll tell you, I got a chance to read a little more on the Venezuela thing, and I'm still not completely sure on the official story, what officially happened and this. But it does appear that, even to whatever degree there might have been some kind of a deal where, like, okay, the guy's going to go quiet. Whether that was agreed to in some way, shape, or form or not, it still does appear that the U.S. wielded some very serious power in terms of, like, all your radar is blacked out, your power is out, we're going to land in here, you're not going to hear it, we're going to smoke a bunch of your people, you're not going to hit shit, and then we're going to take the guy up and we're going to go. Because I don't think everybody on the ground got that word that, like, yeah, the guy's just going to give himself up. Even if that was the deal, maybe it was still like, yeah, but you got to let him fight it out a little bit. We got to make a showing. And I don't know I don't know it went one way or the other. But what I have seen, though, is that, like, that is some fucking power right there. I mean, that is what, like, you got unbridled fucking might. Like, you got all of this shit designed to, like, yeah, we'll see you coming. We'll take you out. We got guys on the ground. We got safe rooms, all this shit. And then none of it works. And why is that? Is it some kind of trick fuckery? Do you have a bunch of people on the ground? Is it all bullshit? I don't know. All I'm saying is that in comparison, when you can look at a country, it is a third world country too. Let's not get too fucking crazy. But when you can look at a third world country and say, I will fly in here, snatch up the leader of this country, leave town, have him out of here in 3 fucking hours. No fucking errors, no casualties, no nothing, and there's nothing you can do about it. That is impressive. And even if it was like some kind of a leverage thing, we're like, all right, I'll go quiet. That in itself is impressive, to have some kind of leverage over a place where you could say, hey, this is fucking happening. That's fucking impressive, man. These Hebrews, on the other hand, is what I'm getting to here. These Hebrews, you're going to come with fucking exploding pages. You're going to come in here, you're going to wheel this Nosferatu-looking motherfucker in here, and you're going to talk about, well, we're just going to pass laws where you can't talk about us. We're going to pass laws, and if you say things, if you do things, then we're going to lock you up. Oh, and he's talking about, we're going to get the FBI watching them. We're going to watch your social media. We're going to watch your bank accounts. Hey, Nosferatu, you can watch these nuts, dude. Because I will tell you what, I think, honestly, we've gotten to the point where, like, literally anything and everything is my anti-Semitism, right? You look at a guy crooked, oh, you don't want to send another billion to Israel? Oh, you're not happy about you, again, American taxpayer, paying for some fighter jets for fucking Israel so that they can bomb, some kid in a fucking taxi? You're not happy about that? Well, you are anti-Semitic. And so let's not get it fucking twisted. Right? Anti-Semitism, yeah, sure, that's usually me and you. But what they're talking about is literally anybody that doesn't give that full-throated, and I do mean throated, support for dumping all of your resources into their little ethno-state. So when it's going to be all of us, they go, hey, all of you, you're on the hook for this anti-Semitism charge. You better watch your step. I think they underestimate, and they always seem to, man. Like, you do these things, dude, and you got away with this shit in Eastern Europe. You got away with it in the Soviet Union, where you could say, like, hey, you're not allowed to say these things, or you must always say these things, and if you fuck around, then it might very well be your ass. This ain't that dance, though, friend. And if we've seen nothing else since the Floydfest, I think we've seen that you can play the trick once, man, but you got to change it up if you're going to try to run with it again. Like, we've seen this fucking dance, dude. And we've all seen the Solzhenitsyn thing about, like, oh, man, we were so pissed. We should have fought them when they came the first time. And I think, in a lot of ways, that could be the direction this is heading. Where, like, oh, you're going to just make it so I'm a criminal? You're going to close my bank account? Like, what was I doing with a bank account anyway? I was only buying stuff. Guess what I'm going to do now? I'm just going to go to your neighborhood and I'm going to take stuff. You want to fuck with me? Maybe I fuck with you. How's that grab you? And if it gets too hectic, I guarantee I can make shots that Jonathan Greenblatt cannot make. And you know what? You want to play it fucking weird. Like, they got guys that'll do the thing. I know they do clearly. Look what they did to Charlie Kirk. But there's a lot of motherfuckers like me running around. And even there's like guys that don't have as much experience as I might have that are like, dude, I only have to have more experience than Shlomo over there hoarding his fucking shavings. You don't have to be no heavy hitter operator. It's like the kidnap for ransom game. Yeah, but I'm not rich. Yeah, you're not rich, but you have more money than that guy over there, and that's all he's interested in. So just give me a taste. Give me a taste. Give me a taste. And dude, I think they're honestly underestimating this thing, even as it continues to spiral towards, I don't know, outright lawlessness, fucking madness. But we'll see how that shakes out. I think you might notice that I'm trying not to say a lot of things just outrightly, but I am starting to feel a little bit looser with, like, you know what, dude, some things just have to be said. Some things can't be waited. I can't wait until, the mustard's all the way off the hot dog. And with the way some of these clowns are acting already, it's like, dude, we need to there's some shit that needs to be said. Yeah. I mean, like, you see your nogs out here sitting on the trunk of their car with a rifle, even though it is, it's a fucking 22. The guy's sitting out there with a gun, just waiting to shoot somebody. So I'm not going to have somebody coming to me talking about, like, yeah, but the things you were saying were hurting people's feelings. They were worried. Well, if you're worried now, just you wait. Wait till White Boy Summer gets here. Anyway, moving along, I guess some of the things that, one of the things that's got me particularly spun up, I guess, is the idea that they're looking at reeling out the Insurrection Act in Minnesota. So after this silly broad did what she did, and I mean, I've seen all manner of debate on this, that like, hey, these cops, they're not going to stop with her. Why are you supporting the cops? I ain't supporting fucking cops. I am supporting removal of Somalians. I will always support removal of Somalians and any other foreigner, legal or illegal. I'm not interested, man. Go, get out, get the fuck out. If you shouldn't be here, we don't want you here. If you don't fit here, I don't want you here. Get out. But they're having a lot of riots and a lot of, you could say, demonstration. It's fucking riots, dude. Your Tim Walz has been talking about, I'm looking at bringing in the National Guard to restore order, and then the argument on the other side of the fence is that, well, yeah, but if you bring in the National Guard, then the federal government can just federalize that force. And now, initially, that kind of brings out the question of, like, then how do I know you people aren't just in this together, right? That, like, this is like pro wrestling, where one of you is saying, fuck you, the other guy, and this guy's saying, fuck you, and I'll bring in the National Guard, and he brings it in and goes, oh, watch this, and now we're all watching going, oh, wow, what's going to happen now? Oh, what's going to happen now? Well, what's going to happen now is that you have a militarized, peacekeeping force on the ground telling you to get back in your fucking house. And you're like, I didn't fucking do anything. Doesn't matter, dude. Militarized peacekeeping force on the ground. You'll do as you're told. So that's one part of what's concerning about this. The other thing that's kind of concerning is what became immediately apparent that a lot of people were noticing, and that is that, it's kind of odd, I guess, that you would take such issue with Minnesota because, yeah, there's a shit ton of Somalians, and Somalians are definitely a problem, but Indians are also a problem. Indians also run these rackets, and there are a whole lot more Indians in this country than there are Somalians, even though, one of either is too many. But when you look at Where are most of these H-1B types, running these hustles and these rackets? Apparently fucking Texas, Houston, to be Pacific. There's a shit ton of Indians in Houston and a shit ton of these scams going on. And Texas, being a nominally red state, it seems like you could set the example and roll in there and look, man, it doesn't have to be weird. We're going to roll in here. We're going to restore order. We're going to snatch up people that don't need to be here, and they're going to be out of here. This ain't got anything to do with you or your cowboy hat or your fucking boots or your spurs or none of that. Just rounding up Pajit street shit over here, and then we'll be out of your hair. What's the problem? What's the big fucking deal? It should work fine, right? But instead, you start with Minnesota. You start with Illinois. You start with places where historically they've been a pain in the ass about this. It would be a lot easier if you went to Texas and look, see, we went here. It's done. We got a bunch of people. We're just going to do with your neighborhood what we did over here. It's not a big deal. And you probably get, even you still get some static over it, but you're probably going to get a lot better results. But we're not doing that, are we? No, we're diving right into this thing and generating maximum static. And I can appreciate that, oh, dude, I don't have to tippy-toe through the tulips over this is what's right and wrong. Yeah, dude, I agree. You shouldn't have to tippy-toe through the tulips, except that what's coming down the pipe, right? Because how long has Trump been in office now? A year, right? That means there's 3 years left, dude. 3 years after this, what do you think's going to fucking happen? These fucking leftists are going to be back in charge, and what do you think they're going to do? Now that a militarized peacekeeping force has become the norm, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to get your kid getting walked to school at bayonet point with, some Somalians in tow. Unlike, the situation like your MLK and all this in Alabama, you're just stabbing your kid with a fucking bayonet so that you can get some black kids into this school. Well, no, now it's going to be some illegals, probably some 25-year-old illegal that says he's 18. He just wants to go to school. I always want to go to school where I can learn something. And now that's your daughter sitting next to this clown. You good with that? This is how this is going to go. Not that you can do anything about it right now. I mean, I'm not saying just how you think about it. This is your fault now. I'm not saying that, dude. I'm just saying that it is kind of, how can you say, should be something that sets you off, should be a primer to get you going down the path of I need to be ready for what might be coming down the pipe. So with that, before we move on, man, I want to, one of the dudes put something together in the chat. So I'm going to give it some prime time airing. We'll get a little taste of that. Here it is, the espresso shot. Ready? All right, check it out.
Hey, howdy, hey. I am not the rootinest, tootinest cowboy in the Wild Wild West, but I am Pepe Silvia, and I have a shot of espresso for you. I wanted to really focus on wind conditions, and I think that these are super duper important. And it's when you're going into something, you got to know the lay of the land. If you know where you are, and you know where your enemy is, and you know what the terrain is, it's all kind of Sun Tzu type shit, right? If you're wrong about where your enemy is, you're not going to win, And if you're wrong about what winning is, you can't achieve a goal, you can't cross a finish line if you're running away from it. So, a couple things about finish lines, right? Think about them. Define them. Think about how to get from here to there, right? Is your goal to change this person's mind all the way to where we are? Think about if that's achievable. Or is your goal just to be let's make this person not support Israel, right? Let's make this boomer not support Israel. Because I'm never going to get this 65-year-old man to think that the Holocaust didn't happen. And I'm not going to get him crying big crocodile tears for, Palestinians or Gazans. But I can get him mad about all the money that's being sent over, right? So what's the goal? What is our end goal should be the destruction of Jewish power. So how do we achieve that? There's a number of different ways to achieve that. And it's not always have everybody in really cool uniforms with a couple lightning bolts and a friendship pinwheel. There's levels of achievability to our goals. The goals should be measurable, just like New Year's resolutions and whatnot. So know what you can do. Be really realistic about where that person currently is and where you can get them. And you'll surprise yourself, right? If you set the achievable goal, just, hey man, 3 steps in this direction. maybe they get along there real fast. If your goal isn't farthest right possible, it doesn't look so long. And books are made of thousands of pages, but doesn't make sense without just one page, so you got to go a page at a time. The achievability of these things will be astounding if you can accurately know what you know, and you can accurately know where they need to go from where they are. And a huge, huge, huge part of that is knowing where they are. And this is where we really, really get into just the art of conversation. And this isn't like a pickup artist type deal. I don't think that's where you can get this from. This is just talking to people, just being likable and being genuinely curious, open-minded, and friendly. We probably know what the woman with the purple hair thinks. Probably. Within 95% of the accuracy. You can ask these people in plain English too. Like, you ask yourself, but also ask yourself, hey, what am I wrong about this broad? What do I got this broad wrong about, huh? Let me figure this out. Straight up ask them. Talk to them. People love to talk how they're different. And if you can just kind of phrase it in such a way where it's like, hey, I see that you have the Defend Equality shirt on. What sets you apart from, like, the crowd? What belief do you have that you think would make you kind of unpopular in your circles? They will be happy to answer a kind of off-the-wall weird question like that. Get in there, get in the weeds with them, like, try to figure them out, try to understand the why, right? Because the actions definitely matter, but if you're trying to figure stuff out, the why matters so much more in personality testing, in that kind of thing, like in understanding motivations. The why is so, because someone with a real shit why, you can get them to give up real easy. But someone with like a super duper powerful why, like you just said, something about a man with the best why can endure anyhow, something like that. I'm butchering the fuck out of it, but you guys know what I mean. So I really wanted to reiterate, like, know where the person is, ask them, try to figure it out, try to understand, right? They may ask you, and if you come at it like, hey man, I think I'm worth saving, I think my kids are worth saving, I think, man, I do be having my kids to rely on, and it does soften the blow of like existential evolutionary genocide. So people tend to be a little bit more open about it, and that might be hard if you're a single type. But maybe talk about like how much you love your parents and you want to have kids someday, that kind of thing. Like, we are a family-oriented movement, so, you know, don't lose sight of that. But also, you got to know where they are. They're going to ask you where you are. Be honest, that kind of thing. But the other thing I want to talk about in like your goals and in your conditions is time frames, right? A good goal needs to have adequate time frames. You are not going to convince hardly anybody in a single conversation. You might take somebody who's like, Charlie Kirk was one of us. Whatever their shitty meme saying is falling flat and dying because his wife is a disgusting attention whore. That I am Charlie Kirk person or whatever. You might get them, right? You might rabbit, you might. But the thing is, 99% of people you're not. So your goal really should just be, hey, nudge them. Every little day is a little bitty nudge, right? Don't push people too hard, too fast. Don't have a melanin-enriched time frame. Really try to kind of be realistic, be intelligent about these things. Use your planning, use your honesty and your intellectual curiosity about these things to kind of pave the way. And a person, if you listen, will tell you how you can change their mind. And some will tell you that they cannot have their minds changed. And if that's what they tell you, then listen to them, maybe. I don't know. You know, don't cast your pearls among swine, you know. Sow your seeds in fertile fields. I think I absolutely nailed this one first time right off the rip. Great car thought. Mobile Doomsday Studio homage. Thank you guys for listening. Hail victory. Hail our people. Love you guys.
All right, good times. Espresso action. So moving on, man. things I wanted to talk about was we talked last time about kind of maintaining awareness in the unlikely event, or increasingly likely event that this thing becomes kinetic and breaks out from Minnesota and Illinois and for whatever reason ends up where you are. So what we're talking about there, I guess, is the potential for, and it's a lot of things, but there are a lot of variables out there right now where this could go wrong, a whole lot of shit could go wrong. So I'd sat down with a guy the other day, a dude that I know from nearby, and we'd started talking about, there's a lot of stuff out there that's going on, and if any of these things takes a big step in the wrong direction, that means your life gets harder immediately. So I wanted to start talking through some of the things that hey, these are things that you need to be concerned about, like potential directions that this could go. And I'm not saying that dude, it's going this way now. And I'm not being Joe Prepper and saying get a bucket of food and live in your basement, nothing like that. I'm just saying that there are directions that these things could go. And it is all starting to go, in a whole bunch of ways real fast. It's almost like they want this thing to collapse. So they're trying a whole lot of different stuff, whether it's international conflict, localized social unrest, any of this stuff. They seem to be trying for this. So I wanted to go through some of these things and get a couple ideas out there. And two, if you got some ideas you want to share it in the chat, by all means, get on there, share what you know, dude, because I definitely don't know everything. I don't know most things, but I'll try to tell you the things that I do know about. So as I'm looking at it, kind of the way that I see it potentially going wrong, if it was going to go wrong, is initially through this militarized security forces, militarized peacekeeping forces. So this could be anywhere from a few weeks to a few years, because it could rise and settle out like where we are right now. But then if Democrats and liberals and this come back in charge, it could swell again in that direction, and they might say, you did it, now we're going to fucking do it. And now you've got legit blue hairs staged at the end of your street, and you don't want that. A more immediate concern could be the Floydfest round 2 type thing, where people are in the streets and marching and this. That I don't quite think would go the same way, because I think people look back and they see how stupid that was. A lot of people got caught up in it, I think. And, now it looks kind of silly that, major national figures are kneeling at the solid gold coffin of a convicted violent felon who OD'd after trying to pass a fake 20 to buy a fucking banana, right? How silly is this, right? But it doesn't mean that, just like Iran, it doesn't mean that it can't be astroturfed into reality. So some of this, racially motivated, or I guess almost political, ideologically motivated unrest type thing could spin up. The thing that I think I see there is when we did start seeing people kind of mobilize in neighborhoods in this, as the Floyd thing was going, I think that would probably happen a lot faster. But that also means that, it's not going to just happen on its own. So as you see things happening, you don't got to go to your neighbors and be like, hey, here's what we're going to do. But it is worth making the effort to be outside and see your neighbors and hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Hey, are you seeing anything about this or that? Hey, where you're at, are you seeing any of these concerns? Have you heard anything about X, Y, Z? Just something to get it into their head that hey, there could be some weirdness afoot down the road. Do you have any thoughts on this? So when it comes time to actually make preparations, that it's not a big fucking surprise and everybody's staring at each other for the first time, The other side of this, another direction that I was looking at this, is more the localized conflicts. It's not going to go all at once. America is a very big place. So if you were to look at say you got family in Minnesota, say I'm not in Minnesota, but I got family in Minnesota. Now I got to have concerns that either how do I get them out of there, or is there a way I need to get in there to get them out? Those are things that if you can, you should work out well before. Because what we have seen, with these Antifa types and these fucksticks, dude, and your Color Revolution Mossad characters, is they do go for the power grid, right? And it's yeah, we're burning down Starbucks or whatever, and the next thing you know, somebody's taking out the power, and people are like, who the fuck did that? Oh God, look at that. Oh, can you believe it? I can fix it if you want. So what you want to do then is get these things worked out beforehand. Have a kind of a way to communicate with them. And some of the things I'm looking at right now for maintaining comms, because I do have family in other states that I have to contend with, and I'm going to end up being babysitter if anything gets fucking hectic, is one, via phone line. And I had been looking at this because like this last week there was some power outages both with AT&T and Verizon, and a lot of people were like, "Holy shit, did you see that? Like, we need a plan for this." So what a lot of people are looking at is, do I have like satellite communication? So this is not, this doesn't mean that you need to jump to like ham radio and now you got to go get qualled on a fucking ham radio. Dude, the whole time I was in, I don't mind telling you, like the radio guy was a very important job. It's a very important thing. Communications, fucking crucial, right? I am not good at it. I fucking hate it. It doesn't work with my head, dude. I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck is all this? There's fucking numbers and this shit and that shit. And when I first started out, dude, like everything now is like SATCOM, right? It's satellite comms, fucking radio, right? But when I came in, there was a lot of the black magic, if you will. So there was like VHF and HF and UHF and all this shit. And you would have to be, a lot of these radios, especially like the HF radios, you would have to actually build the antenna. You'd have like just a reel of wire, and then you'd sit through all these classes of like, here's how to make this shit work. And you would have some where it would like, you're building, what would you call it, man? It looks like one wire going long ways and another wire like a few feet above that. All right, you'll have this, but then you have to cut it to a certain length, and that length depends on the frequency. And then how you rig this thing, it depends on whether it's day or night, because this radio signal is going to actually bounce off of the atmosphere, but that atmosphere is different at day than it is at night. So when you're actually making the comm shot, this is going to depend on, well, what time are you doing this? This depends, what your antenna configuration is going to look like. So like you would study this stuff, and if this was not your bag, like if you were not the fucking comms guy, it was like, dude, there are 1,000 fucking things that can go wrong. I don't know how to do this shit. You're looking through fucking notes and like, all right, how the fuck do I do this? And my initial thing then is what I'm saying is like, you don't have to jump straight to this. I see a lot of guys talking about like, got my Baofeng radio and I'm going to get this encrypted shit up and running. And dude, that is, I mean, it's like, that should be like a last ditch. Like, dude, if you're stringing out a fucking antenna, like even the dudes that are good at it, like they would say like a lot of this depends on what's called PFM. And everybody's like, what the fuck is PFM? You're a fucking new guy. You don't know anything. Like, it's pure fucking magic, new guy. It just depends. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And now if you try to throw encryption into this thing, like, dude, sometimes it'll just dump. And like, hey, did you load this with the fucking crypto? And now it's gone. No, that's gone, dude. It's not there no more. Like, fuck, man. So this deal, like the comms, I will say, like, if that is your bag, do that. Like, get good at it, practice it, whatever. I would look primarily at like your phone, dude. Work your phone. Use your email. Use internet if you can. Use satellites if you can. And if all that shit fails, so here's kind of the hierarchy where I'm looking at like the communications plan. Is the idea that initially, if like I got family again, like let's say in Minnesota, and I don't live, maybe 1 or 2 days drive from there, I'm going to text and like, hey, is everything cool there? No, things are not cool. Things are pretty fucked up. Can you get out of town? Yeah, I think there's one road still open. I can get out of town. Okay, get the fuck out of town, and I'm going to meet you. Where we're going to meet, all right, this needs to be a spot that you have already picked out and scouted out. A place where it's not really conducive to a bunch of ghetto pigeons walking out here and becoming a pain in the ass. It's not across the street from like a police station, maybe near a gas station, maybe just up the road from a gas station, something that's out of place or, that's like out of the way, something that you can still find. So like say a rally point, like ideally you would want to spot maybe like an intersection, the deal when you drive down the freeway and like, hey, gas here, and you exit and gas is right there, right? And there's one on this side and there's one over on the other side. And the deal where like if you drive on just a little more, on that off-ramp road, that road that intersects whatever freeway or highway you're on, You drive down there a little way, you're going to start getting into like neighborhoods and this kind of shit. But usually in an in-between area, there's like a few stop-off areas. There's like a few emptied out areas. Usually something like maybe where a truck driver could park and get some rest or something. So this is what you want. Now, ideally, this should be an easy-to-find place, right? This should not be like some fucking mystery. Like, don't be a pain in the ass about this. But what you want is to be able to observe that spot. So if you can like back off like into the bushes or into this rest area or behind this gas station where nothing is going on, if you could set up there where you can observe the get together area, right? And now whoever gets there first, and this is like a worst case thing, if you can decide on some kind of a signal, like a strip of tape, like a strip of like duct tape, like the silver tape, right? Put that around like a signpost or something, and then next to it like a big strip of like black duct tape or something like this, something easy to recognize. That's to tell somebody that's pulling up, like your mother or your dad, your brother, whatever, that, yeah, I'm here, dude, I'm here, just wait here. If they get there first, they're going to do the same thing, all right? Now, the idea is that you set this thing for like, all right, if you can talk to them, and say they're 2 days away, all right, dude, I'm going to meet you in 2 days at whatever, high noon at this spot, at exit, whatever it is, exit 100 by the Popeyes chicken. I'm going to be backed off into the bushes. I'm going to mark the spot right here, and then I'm going to go back into the bushes. Or I might not even be able to if there's something crazy, if the place is on fucking fire, but I'll be backed into the bushes over here. And now when they pull up, they're going to know the deal. Like, okay, I'll be off on this other side over here. Or they can come right to where you are. But you find a way to fucking link up right there at a spot that is probably not going to be hot, that's probably not going to be crazy, and in a way that affords you opportunity to hide out if there is some weird shit going on. Because imagine you pull up there and it's like they riot in, they break in shit, they wilding up in there, right? And Kyle Rittenhouse is gunning cats down. You can't sit there at the Popeyes, can you? No, man, you got to be back over here someplace. So talk through these things. Like, what are we going to do if this? What are we going to do if that? If there's no marker there, what should I do? If there's nothing going on, you leave your own mark and then back up. Now, the idea on linking up like this, if you don't have any comms, what you can do is set time and date. So, like, look, dude, if the power goes out or if things are getting hectic there, I want you to call me every day at noon. You call me every day at noon, tell me you're cool. The first day that you don't call me, so say you're supposed to call me this Wednesday, you don't call me on Wednesday, I'm going to plan to be up there on, not the next day, I'm not going to take off, so say it takes 2 days to get there, right? You're supposed to call me on Wednesday. I don't hear nothing from you. By Thursday noon, I'm going to be leaving, all right? Because I'm not going to just not get a call. Now I go jump in the car. That's crazy talk. But I am going to give you 24 hours. So I don't hear from you Wednesday. Now I'm going to give you a day. And now that next day at noon, if I don't hear from you, I'm getting in the car and I'm taking off. So now Friday, now Saturday, I'm going to be outside that Popeye's chicken, whether I hear from you or not, all right? I'm going to make this drive because you're my brother, my sister, my dad, whatever. I'm going to make this drive. And now you don't got to do nothing, man. All you got to do is survive. Say you get shot out of your house, everything goes sideways, you're on the run, you're going to know exactly when I'm going to be there, even if we haven't talked. So I'm supposed to call on, I'm in Minneapolis, I'm supposed to call Wednesday at noon. I didn't call. Okay, man, I know that tomorrow at this time, he's rolling out, he'll be there 2 days later. All I got to do is stay alive for the next 3 days and I'm out of here. Plus, that's going to give somebody enough time to make their way because it's not like, right on the edge of town. And don't make it where, like, they got to drive, because they're the ones getting shot out of there. They're going to be in bad shape. So don't make it where, like, okay, you got to haul ash right now and, you better have a full tank and you better not hit any roadblocks and you better not get held up. No, dude, they might have to hide in a bush for 3 days. And that sucks. So try to think through that. So they might have to walk it off. It might take them a whole day to walk someplace. But make it someplace they can walk like that and like, all right, dude, here's where we're going to be. But it takes some work, but just think through it like this. And, and it sucks to have to think through like, all right, what if it all goes down? What if the neighborhood goes up in flames? But these are things that, it's becoming an increasingly realistic possibility. And in that sense, you want to be able to move them to where you are. The other part of that, the other important reason for having some good comms is the idea that you might think it's bad where you are, and you're like, oh, I'm going to haul ass. I'm going to go over here. Dude, it's actually worse over there, right? Like imagine being, I don't know, in like, rural North Carolina, and you're like, shit, I can't get any food out here. The trucking is stopped. I got to go someplace. I know. I'll go into town, into Charlotte. Like, what do you think it's going to be like there? Right in the fucking South with all those Africans? You think it's going to be fucking better? No, it's going to be goddamn Thunderdome. So don't do that, right? But you wouldn't know that. If you don't know that, you want to be able to call somebody and say like, hey, what the fuck's going on? So again, back to the comms, man, kind of the hierarchy that I've been looking at is you got your basic telephone. You got your basic interwebs, like your email and such. One of the things that I've been looking at is T-Mobile, actually. And I can't decide if they did this on purpose, just because just because it's pink, because that was, to me, it was like an immediate turnoff. Like, I'm not using this. Fuck off. But the more I look at it, I'm like, all right, this is actually the only service that has like reliable satellite coverage. So if the cell network goes down, you could still text via satellite. And your text is going to go through. So, yeah, you don't get to call and say, I hope you're okay. I miss you so much. But you can text and like, hey, it's fucked up here. Like, take off right now. I'm going to meet you. All right, cool. So moving along that line of thinking, then now you're on, like, if the email is down and the phones don't work and there's not a way you can get a message out that way, now you can go and buy. There are just satellite specific like radios, and like you can just send like a text or something. Ideally, you would just be saying like activate plan 1, activate plan 2, whatever, where like we're going to meet over here to pick up this guy, or me and that guy are going that way to pick up mom, or whatever. So you would want ideally to have this stuff worked out. So if all you could send is a text, you're not trying to send a fucking book. All right, just have it quick. And now you're not standing around so much. And then down the line from that is where you would have your radio, your Aspain, your Baofeng, your do-it-yourself antenna. Again, this isn't something you want to rely on, man. I mean, and cats are good at it, and hats off to them if that's your thing and you enjoy it. I always hated it. And two, it also means that like I got to be good enough at it to get comms, but whoever I'm trying to call needs to be good enough at it to get comms too. So in this sense, you would have to be out there at the same time. Like, what time are we making comms? Noon. So I got to go out there every day at noon, set up this antenna, try to make this call. And if the dude is set up and he's good to go, then good. If not, what do I know? I don't have any fucking idea. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not. What if I just hear like crack, crack? I just hear somebody break over the net, and like, is that you? I don't know. Did I get comms? Did I not get comms? Should I take off? Should I not? Fuck. All right, this is a pain in the ass. So again, these are all, you choose your own adventure. You think through it, but these are things to think about. And then last, time and place, where you're talking about, all right, dude, if I don't hear from you, this is how we're going to link back up. And it's picking out the right places, picking out a way to signal, like, what do I do if it's Popeye's chicken and the place is on fire? Think through all this shit. And obviously, if you got any questions like, hey, what do you think about this idea or this plan? Or will you look at my plan and tell me if it's good or bad? Dude, I'll help you out, man. Hit me up. Moving along then, the other items real quick that I was looking at, the continued economic deterioration, where we're talking about like, I mean, look, we were really going the extra mile to keep the entire world on the petrodollar. Because as soon as people start saying like, yeah, dude, I'm going to trade in whatever I want to trade in, I'm not listening to your bullshit, the dollar in your pocket becomes useless. And you can tell that it is not just blowing smoke because of how fast, like silver, for example, is starting to go through the roof. Like 93 was down, So, I mean, I got in, I don't know, I want to say like, it's more than doubled since I got in. And usually, as I heard historically, like going back years, it was, fairly flat. It's not going to go down in value, especially, but this ain't, you ain't getting rich off this. But now when it's more than doubled in just a couple years, what does that suggest? It means that people aren't that confident in the currency no more. So, you're seeing how fast it's going up, and now you see these dips, like these regular dips. And what I'm seeing people talking about is like, yeah, this is where people that have this paper silver, like, oh, you have a share of silver someplace, that they're getting rid of that shit because the actual physical product is becoming increasingly scarce. So like, well, hey, I want my actual physical product. I don't really have. Maybe you sell that piece of paper to some other sucker. So that's where you're seeing a lot of these dips. But dude, 90 something is down. That's in a dip. It's going to be at 100 within a month. I mean, that seems like a very safe bet. So, what does that say? Like, you should probably start looking at alternate places to hang on to your value. And along that vein, I would say, and again, this is just me speculating, but things like ammo, things like Bic lighters, things like, and this was a really good one that I heard on a podcast, was like travel size bottles of booze. Because, I mean, my thinking, and I had mentioned this like several episodes back, like getting these big fuck off jugs of vodka, like, the plastic jugs, super cheap. Yeah, great, man, for your own personal use, and whether that's sterilizing shit or whatever you're going to do with it. That's great. But if you've got like the airplane size bottles, like airline size, like the small, like one shot bottles, you could use those like fucking currency, man. If shit gets really hectic, like, bro, I'll give you 3 ounces of Jack Daniels. All I need is this shit. I thought that was a really good idea. So Bic lighters, airline size bottles of booze, and of course ammo, dude. If you find a cheap place to get ammo, do stock up. It seems like it kind of goes in cycles. Like, I remember when the COVID thing was getting hectic, and Floydfest 1 was in its prime, and dude, there were people literally lined up in places buying ammo, buying weapons. And like they couldn't keep the shit in stock. Like, the shelves were bare. Anyway, I think let's leave it there, and then we'll move along into some more, like, as it gets worse and worse, like potentially less likely, like the black swan kind of a thing. It's not especially likely, but if it goes that way, it could be really, really hectic. So maybe we look into that more thoroughly the next time. Next time we could talk about kind of setting up your pad as a stronghold, picking a good spot, some field medicine type concerns, and then one that I was really interested in, the idea of finding like a stronghold castle type locations that most people would be inclined to overlook. So maybe we hit on that next time. So until then, man, do feel free to leave this someplace where people can find it, because like we say, the world needs more people like us. And until we meet again, keep your eyes on the horizon and keep your neck out of the noose. I've been Coffee. These are my takes.